So today's episode is all about what got you here won't get you there. And today's episode is really going to hit home for some of you. So you're going to be in for a treat. Before I jump in today's episode, if you have not been over to Next Level Wholesaling, you got to head on over there. I've got a special treat for you. It's the Next Level Wholesaling Assessment. And what this is, basically, it's going to rate you in the 4 major areas of your wholesaling business. If you want to make more money in less time and have more freedom doing it, with a predictable machine that throws off cash month after month after month without your personal day-to-day involvement, go ahead to nextlevelwholesaling.com and take the assessment today. All right, so let's talk about what got you here, what won't get you there. You know, every New Year's or maybe it's your birthday or maybe it's your anniversary. You know, there's a trigger where people say, "Hey, listen, this year is going to be different, right? I'm going to make more money. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to do, multi-unit buildings, or, I'm going to sell a business for millions," whatever it is, right? We as entrepreneurs, we have this ongoing need to get to the next level. Yet, sometimes we expect to get to the next level doing the same things that we did before. And that's the inspiration for today's show. A lot of times when I do these shows, it's because I've experienced it. I've seen it in myself, humbly. And it sucks. Let me give you a perfect example. If you notice, the No Limits Real Estate Investing podcast, started in like 2000, maybe 10 years ago. And I did episodes for like 3 months, and then I stopped doing them. And then I did episodes for another 3 months, and I stopped doing it. And then I'd publish an episode. And like for years, right, through years 1 through 8, I was on and off and on and off and on and off. And every single time, like, all right, this year I'm going to be consistent with the podcast. But the problem with that is I kept on doing the same things. All I did is I said I was going to be more consistent. And I'm telling you, like, I kept doing the same things and getting a different result. And if you notice, I have not missed an episode of the No Limits podcast in 2.5 years. I do it twice a week. It's published every week, twice a week, and I have missed an episode. And really, why is that? It's because I made a decision. I said, okay, forget it. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to try to sit in my house and record. That's not going to work because I tried that. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to be more consistent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some time with a local audio engineer, which is the studio that I'm in right now. And I'm going to do this every other week, and I'm going to invest in my business, in myself, right? Now, the interesting thing is if I just did this on my phone, and by the way, I have like top of the line podcast equipment at home, I'd save money, right? And so and that's quote unquote save money. Sometimes it wound up costing you a lot more, right? So I had this years of pretty much doing it for free, but it was extremely inconsistent. I think there were times where I'd gone years without publishing an episode, but it wasn't until I said, okay, I need someone who's going to do this for me or help me. And I'm going to invest in that. I'm going to have this set time, and I'm going to get out of my comfort zone here to make this happen. And I committed to it. And so I did something that I had never done, and I got something that I've never gotten. And so now, because of the podcast, I've gotten some of my best clients through the podcast. And I've seen some of the most profitable investors grow from the podcast, who have become my private clients, who have gone on to create businesses well into the 7 figures because of that. And so it was that fundamental change that changed something. It wasn't just me saying, okay, I'm going to do X. I had to change that behavior. And so in business, it tends to be hustling, right? I'm just going to work harder. I'm just going to do this, and we're going to force it. And I got to tell you, in my experience, that working harder is rarely the answer. Rarely does it do the trick. And so I'm going to talk about 5 areas in which you can make fundamental changes in your real estate wholesaling business that will get you to the next level. And so number 1, I'm going to talk about marketing. So many people think that they're going to do low cost marketing or free marketing or cold calling, and that's okay to get you started, but it won't get you to the next level. You got to spend money on marketing. You got to invest a lot of it. You got to get out of your comfort zone to really, really, really make that happen. And so I would set a budget, even if it's extremely uncomfortable, and make it happen. Right. My recommendation is a minimum of $4,000 to $5,000 a month. If you don't have it, sell some stuff, donate some plasma, get a money partner, get a second job, drive an Uber. I don't care, but you have to do something different than what you've done to get something what you've never gotten. The rewards are amazing. You can turn that $5,000 into $35,000. You could take that $7,500 and turn it into $50,000. So that's the first level of marketing, is that you've got to jump out of your comfort zone and make that happen. If you don't have the money, you can even get a partner, but just stop making excuses. Number two, in my opinion, you can't do this business alone for any length of time and be happy or sustainable. You can be on a treadmill. And so if you can't tell yourself you're going to work harder, you're probably missing leads. You're probably running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You're probably stressed. And so you're going to need a virtual assistant and a lead manager to really get to that 7 figures. And so if you're like, Todd, I don't really like to hire people. Well, too freaking bad. Now, you could maybe, get a partner if you have to, but I got to tell you, you might have to grow, right? You're going to have to do something that you've done. By the way, it's scary to hire people. I get it. I remember the first time I hired my first virtual assistant, I was scared out of my mind. First time I hired a local assistant, I was scared out of my mind. But I got to tell you, the results are amazing. Number 3, the types of deals you do. Okay. I'm talking both the size of deals that you do, right? The way that you negotiate with the sellers and the way that you sell them. My recommendation to you is wholesale, but I also recommend that you take down big deals. What does take down deals mean? I have a good friend who just did a $1 million wholesale deal. Okay, you got that? $1 million. And you're like, well, Todd, I can't do that. He only made $1 million in that deal because he told me he was going to do it. Then he created the mailing campaign to do it. He picked the market and then he made it happen. And so he changed the types of deals that he did. And that's it. You can't get to $1 million a year doing deals for $3,000, $5,000, $7,000. It's not going to happen. Okay. If you're happy with that, great, go for it. But that's not going to take you to the next level. All right. This one's going to sting. The people who you hang out with. You will become the average of your 5 closest associates. And so if you have a bunch of friends who are making $40,000 or $50,000 a year, you will be the 6th. If you have 4 or 5 people who are solopreneurs and you want to stay a solopreneur, great, keep hanging out with them. If you want to build a business, you've got to be around people who are building businesses. If you want to be super fit, hey, go for it, but you need to be around super fit people. I'm not telling you that you should have all of these things, but if you want these things, you need to change your circle of influence. This is probably the most powerful thing on the list because it's the catalyst for everything else. Lastly, and this is actually one of my favorite, it's not talked about a lot, is how you handle challenges and problems. And I remember that when I had an emergency in my business, I used to be like Johnny on the spot, right? Where I'd do it and I'd run like hell to get that problem solved. But what I've learned is that you have to be more cerebral and you have to take your time sometimes. Sometimes there is a time, although it's very rare, where you got to run like a bat out of hell. But I've noticed that how you handle problems where you slow down and you are deliberate and you solve the root of that problem, that problem won't arise again. So it's interesting. Today, for example, we had an emergency where I was actually needing to personally fund a deal. And the way that the paperwork was going to happen was that they were going to have to resend a notary out to me. I was going to have to sign paperwork, and it was going to delay the deal for a couple of days. And I sat down, I said, guys, I said, we need to sit here and just think for a moment before we run with a notary and you run this out to me and we do this and we do that. How can we do this? Let's take a step back. Let's take a deep breath without us running around like a chicken with our head cut off, right? How can we do that? And we sat there and we came up with an alternate solution to enable us to close the property today just by slowing down. Okay. We then, though, because everyone wanted to get off the phone, I said, no, I said, how do we handle this so that this problem does not happen again? And everyone's like, well, let's just close this deal. We'll get back to that. I said, no. I said, let's fix how we're going to do this so this problem doesn't happen again. So not only did we solve the immediate problem, but we then handled the root problem and put now a system in place that that's not going to happen again. And so that's how a business grows, because you're not going to face the same problem over and over and over and over again. You now are going to get to a new level of which now you're going to face new problems, which is great because new problems usually come with more money. So that is my wish for you. So let me review. What got you here won't get you there. You got to do different things. Hustling is rarely the answer, right? It's going to take too much self-discipline, and who wants to be on that treadmill? So number one, you got to market. You got to spend more money on marketing. You got to get out of your comfort zone. I don't care how you do it, but make it happen. Number two, you got to hire people. Number three, the types of deals that you do, they've got to be bigger. If you've got to invest in a different asset class, you also got to be able to take deals down and buy them every now and then. The people that you hang out with, huge effect. And number five is, how do you handle problems? Remember, haste makes waste. Fix things the right way, slow them down, get to the root problem so that you're not facing the same challenge over and over and over and over again. If you find yourself running into the same things month after month after month, it might be time to slow down and figure out how you're handling problems. So my goal for you is to get there being the next level, there being more money, more time, more freedom, right? A business that serves you. So implement some of these. I'd love to hear from you, by the way. If you have any more that you want to add to these, or if you've discovered that, love to hear from you. Hit me up on Instagram at Todd Toback, and I will talk to you on the next episode.